We've had a takeover. Hello then, folks. Welcome back to AFC Thames under the stewardship now, no longer of Keenan Smith, but of Tom Smith, local investor Tom Smith. It's not the most glamorous takeover you can ever have, but it's a takeover all the same. I have read the personal message following the takeover, but I haven't read the rest of it. So we're going to read through it all today. It's finally happened on the 8th of January. I've been contacted. Form-wise, it's been needed. To say it's been a distraction for me in recent games is an understatement. Not particularly good at all. Wins against Stockport, but other than that, it's been really, really poor. And hopefully then today we can get back on track against Aldershot. But first things first, you've got so many questions, I suspect, regarding this. A personal message then has come in from Tom Smith. I want to thank you for your patience during what has undoubtedly been a stressful time for everyone involved with the club. There are no plans to provide the club with any investment at this stage. At this stage, that gives me a bit of hope. Maybe at some stage, but not this stage. In terms of club vision then and expectations, they want me to continue to remain in the National League and to be competitive in the FA Cup, which has already been passed this season, and to fight bravely against relegation, which is something we're definitely exceeding. So in terms of leaving here, I can't imagine they want to replace me. That seems like something that would be foolish on their part right now. And I actually can't accept this. This is just an update of the long-term vision. So the board then have lifted the transfer embargo that I've been under in the early part of January. I've not been able to bring any players in, while I've been suggested a few of them. And we've increased our transfer revenue to 20%, which is up from 5%. So if anything, that's big news. What's the biggest bit of news? This is the biggest bit of news. We now have nearly 99,000 problems, and they're all cash money, viewers. We have nearly got £100,000 in the bank. They have wiped the debts of the side that was. Or I say the debts. They've wiped the balance debt that existed. The net debt still exists that we still have to pay off. There's still quite a lot of that remaining, but all in all, this is good and big news for Thames. It now means we maybe have a little bit more wiggle room in the transfer market. It might mean we can ask the board a few things, and the key thing to remember though is not to go crazy here. The key thing to remember is we're actually making money. We now make money that means something, right? We've made a profit this month of 584,000 as that's just been wiped, but this season we're already making sort of 70k. So things are looking up here. We're still in the Builder-Based Trophy. That's a good way to bring in revenue if we can stay in it. But first things first, after a takeover that has taken so long to get through, we are finally, for the first time in I don't know when the last time was, in a state of profit, and hopefully on an upward trajectory. This graph, when it updates at the end of the month, is going to look very funny, viewers, and I, for one, can't wait to see it. As I say, in terms of performances recently, it's not been very good at all. Why this resets, viewers? I will never know why this resets. I don't want it to reset, so stop it. I guess I have to save it, but I shouldn't have to. It should just be there every time. We are persevering with the 4-3-3 narrow, and goal scoring still being pretty frequent. You can see a 3-0 in there, 3-3, of course. A couple of tricky games against Boreham Wood. That was the trickiest of them all, actually. Boreham Wood, top of the league. Very difficult to do anything in that one. We currently sit, and this is a little bit frustrating, especially when you consider how many games Burton Albion have in hand. We sit a little way off the playoff, 6 points, but I'm confident that going forward now, we've got a bit more to be excited about. Like, as much as the teams above us have got games in hand, I've just noticed there Carlisle have played 15 games, 5 games fewer than us. So we're probably very much a mid-table side, but that's better than being 18th, where I think we're probably going to avoid being this season. If we carry on the good form, if we continue to be attacking, there's some interesting conversations going on actually in the comment section of whether we are potentially too attacking, being on attacking, especially when you've got the fullbacks on attacking as well. Maybe changing that up would be wise. We play Aldershot. I realised we played Aldershot today, and my team are exhausted as well. We've been trying to get to this takeover. I said it last episode. I wasn't going to come back to you until we had a takeover decision, whether that was going to be positive or negative. If I'm honest, 70% of me probably thought it would fall through. Most times when takeovers happen, they tend to fall through before they ever get through. The interesting thing's going to be now is Tom Smith, who's now in charge. How much would he want to stick around, right? It says he loves the club. He's a local investor, which means he lives in London. There's lots of local investors. And at what point will he find Thames unsustainable? At what point will people see Thames as a club they actually want to buy? Hopefully a few of those things happen, and in a time when world football is looking for some new owners, Thames got one. So team selection-wise here, we have got a bit of a headache on our hand, especially considering that Cabbage is currently out from 7 days to 3 weeks. He's been out for a little while now and continues to be injured. And Sugunokon is in a similar state of affairs. He's been injured for a little while too. So both of two of our key players, really, both unavailable for this game, and lots of the rest of them aren't necessarily fit to play either. We've been playing Ronaldo Gibson at left back, trying to give this youngster a chance. He's actually looked worse than he probably is. The pace is probably one of the bigger concerns. With that in mind, I'm going to bring Paul Gore back in for this one. Oigoki is going to come back in for Mark Scott on that side, who had a game recently where he scored a couple of absolute screamers. It was very weird. The forward line is tricky right now. Of course, Siddiqui probably comes back in. Again, he's been in and out of the side most recently. I think Lloyd and Boateng being either side of Walsh probably makes sense. Lloyd has been here for a while now. He's not got the creative attributes, but he's certainly got the pace, and he's left-sided. So I guess that makes sense for him being there, especially when our midfield options other than Blahar aren't that fruitful. It's fair to say there's definitely a position I'm going to look to strengthen for the remainder of the transfer window if we can. Of course, we're going to be in for free transfers. We might be able to attract some different loan players now. In fact, viewers, we're doing it. Forget this for a minute. I need to find out what's the loan market looking like now for AFC Thames. Is there just this possibility that some good players could come in? I mean, we're not looking for that position. Central midfielders are the key here. I still feel like we're probably not going to find anyone on this particular list, but of course Zealand showed us the way with looking for youth contracts, so that might be something we go to. Let's take a look at that. Okay, it's I'll apply division, but it's not great, this. Okay, there are a few players that might make us a little bit stronger. You never know. Worth looking at. I mean, he's not great. He's not much better than what we've already got, to be honest. Centre backs, there's a few of those here as well that are good to average would be the phrase I would use. It is a left back that is probably an improvement. Tor's back there as well. Ross White, is he an option for us? Okay, there's a couple of these guys that I'll have to sort of do a bit of comparison, I think. I won't necessarily make the move right now, but are worth looking into. I mean, this fella looks like someone that we could probably sign, actually. In fact, this guy, Mildenhall, I think you could be someone that we could sign pretty much straight away. Really good strength, great marking and tackling attributes, some decent mental attributes. I'm a bit worried about the 20 aggression, obviously, but let's make a move. We could sign him. I don't think we want to sign him, not yet. Could loan him for nothing. Let's loan him for nothing. While we're at Championship, we should probably see if they're only in the Premier League. No. There's lots in the Premier League that are available, but not available for us to sign. I've taken off whether they're interested or not, and high quality of players will be a theme, I suspect. All right, we have to do that quickly. Sorry, folks. Let's move on then. Let's get to this point of the episode. And does Ross Marshall come in at the back? Again, we've got some fitness issues. Marshall Allardyce at the back. We're not really strong here. Aldershot, they're very much like us, mid-table sides. Not a side that I'm expecting to batter, but I think put a good account of ourselves in, maybe score some goals. Absolutely. Let's see how we get on. But the takeover, and that's the big thing here, viewers. We've done it. It's happened. I say we've done it. I've suffered 5 years for a takeover, and hopefully by the end of the season now, we'll see ourselves in profit. And going forward to next year, a budget is laid out for us that is a little bit more reasonable. Imagine if they double the wage budget. Imagine what we'd be able to do now with the knowledge we've got. It would be so much different. And even if they doubled it, it's worth pointing out, it's still not a lot. Like, it's still, compared to the rest of the league, that would not be loads. In fact, I mean, I've now brought it up, I feel like I want to show you what I mean. Now, before we get there, I know that Worthing are now bottom of this list. I'll move my face for just a moment, viewers. As you can see there, if they doubled our wage budget, it would still be 400,000. We'd move up to around the 19th spot there, just below Aldershot. But I would love them to do it regardless, because it would give us that bit more of a chance. These guys who spend $1 million a year on wages, well, that doesn't appear fair to me, viewers, although that is the way football is. All right then, can the boys do the business here today? That is going to be the big question on everybody's lips. Can we beat Aldershot Town? Of course, the last few episodes, and it's been noted by you in the comment section, I've been a little bit more positive. You know, I've felt slightly revived in terms of this save, and now a takeover, my positivity is shining through. It would be a disaster now if we were to lose to Aldershot, wouldn't it? Could that possibly happen to us? No way, surely not. As the ball goes over Gore's head, and now Burgess on that side, and defending is optional, and wow, what a save. Okay, is that Canon with a brilliant stop? It is indeed. Half an hour to go, or half an hour gone, and so far it's not the worst thing ever. I've even put a red t-shirt on today, viewers, just to really, hammer home the fact that I am very much Thames right now, as it goes out to Smith Rowe, who I can't imagine is the Smith Rowe. That would be horrifying. As Lloyd picks it up now, we need him to run with the ball. This is the key thing for these deep line forwards. He's held up a little bit. He's forced backwards, and that's a little bit nervy. Boateng climbs, doesn't quite get there. And our inability to transition properly there without the technical ability of those deep lying forwards that normally play in those roles is proving to be problematic, as that, well, the ball's in the back of the net, but it's gone over the goal. That's horrible. Don't do that to me. We've got a long throw almost immediately after that highlight, actually. Played in, cleared away. Oyegoki. Sometimes the long throws aren't necessarily long throws. It's very weird as Brooks gets involved. They're more distant throws. I wouldn't call them long. It's very odd. As the ball is launched right over the top, blimey, they've caught us out. Hughes is in on goal, got to score, and does. Scott Hughes, older shot, take the lead. And our form currently, viewers, after much positivity, is not good. Again, maybe we are that little bit too attacking, perhaps. Is our forward line pushed up a little bit too much? That's an amazing clearance. It's a great angle to see where he's found the pass. And Hughes is running on goal and applied what was a lovely finish. He's probably got really high finishing, to be fair. 11. We see how good he was. I'm not finished there. That's just not cricket. They're below us in the league. Like, how are we doing this? How are we continually not rooted to the bottom of this table? I've got no idea. Sturrock, ball played in, headed away by Marshall, I think it was. And again, in transition, we're not really at it. Burgess is there now, and he's converted. It's offside. There needs to be a little bit of a change in our midfield. I think putting Siddiqui forward, taking probably Lloyd off or Walsh off, and having Siddiqui further up to help with those transitions might be the way forward here. We get towards half time. It's still Aldershot 1, Thames 0, and they're playing 4-4-2 as well. I'm just thinking, how would I try and exploit a 4-4-2 if I was against it, which I am. I think maybe bringing on, maybe putting them even deeper or letting them roam a little more. Walsh, though, the pace of Walsh, if he gets on this, that felt like our best chance of the game so far, which is frustrating. As we try and close this down, it's cleared forward. Ridgewell gets his head on it, and now Siddiqui again. Just that dribbling ability to go past a man, to keep hold of the ball. Maybe, skips past a player as well. Finds Boateng. This is what I mean. We're playing him in midfield at the moment. If he's in a more advanced area, maybe we have a little bit more luck. Walsh scores. It was like watching slow motion, viewers. It took ages to do it. Walsh converts. Another goal for him this year. And that all came from, and we saw it, and it's literally what we're talking about now. Siddiqui there has gone on an amazing little run, finds Boateng, our other more creative forward, and eventually it finds its way out to the right-hand side into Walsh, and a goal's been scored. 1-1, back on level terms. Lovely stuff. But how do we get those guys more involved in forward areas? And does that mean we take away from what's going on in the middle? That's the problem. Blahar, of course, could come on. He's played there a few times this season. Lloyd is having an okay game. That had been a great game. I kind of want to do something like weird, like this, maybe. I know that seems overly attacking, but I kind of want to... They're playing 4-4-2, right? We're already taking risks with our back line. We'll make those guys slightly more supportive rather than attacking, so they're a little bit more defensively responsible. And we're just going to move him in behind. I'm hoping these lot don't get too close to one another, so I'm going to have both deep line forwards stay a little bit wider to allow a little bit more space for Siddiqui. We're playing Washington advanced forward, so he'll push on naturally anyway. So there should be the space there. But yeah, it feels all a bit disjointed at the moment, and this hopefully will maybe fix this. Just before we go any further, I'm just going to look at the analytical data of things, and they're quite deep as it is, right? And the way that we're pushing forward with the Mazzala and that left-sided player, it's all a little bit congested. There's a huge space in here that we can maybe make use of, and that's what I'm going to try and attack. So what I thought was happening is the case. We can maybe find a bit of space in there. The two midfielders that we've got are going to have to deal with Gray and Bent here in the middle, and we are taking a bit of a gamble here because, again, we're lessering our support in the wider positions. Luckily there, our deep lying forwards are back helping out a little bit as the cross comes in. I tell you, he makes the standard saves. Canon there deserves a medal. I can't believe he just kept it out. Still 1-1. The question is, are we going to see something in those central areas? Let's try and focus play down the middle. Let's not look for the overlap quite so much, and let's see if we can get that man involved a little more. As that throw-in from that deep is just the stupidest thing. Why you can't set throw-ins to be different, whether they're in the defensive half or the attacking half, I will never know, because this arguably is going to cost us a goal now. Ball played in, Marshall heads clear. We're not on it though, and you can see actually our deep line forwards are really pushed back, and it actually now, I say that actually they're not pushed back. Our midfield are just doing a really good job of trying to cover the space as best they can. Another cross goes in. I mean, eventually that is going to sting us, isn't it? I kind of said we're giving up. Like, I kind of know that. That's the thing. People will say, well, he shouldn't have moved them then, or he shouldn't have had the midfield play even narrower and not win that battle. But football's risk reward, right? I'm risking overloading in the middle, knowing that this could probably happen, and I'm just hoping that we can get through the game defending it well. I don't know how many of those, this is it, right? You don't see in key highlights how many of those crosses they're trying that are being headed away. But of course, that's not ideal. I don't know if all of that came from the long throw, but it feels pretty painful as the time is ticking away here as well. I might bring on someone who's a bit more of a natural finisher, someone like Scott Miller, who I know is a bit more of a finisher. Lloyd's going to go off. Walsh to the left-hand side now, maybe. Maybe I'm going to change up our attack a little as well. Make him a winger attack. Try and have a little bit of difference based on where we are. Trying to find spaces behind the shot midfield. So far, though, they're defending quite well. They're making changes as they need to. And we aren't really doing enough. I'm going to lower our tempo and our passing directness just a little bit, and I'm not going to focus play down the middle. I'm going to let the players decide where the ball needs to go, so we're not ramming the ball in the same place constantly, trying to find spaces. 4 minutes left. This is one of those games that I'm going to look back and think, if we had Cabbage, if we had Ocon, would it have been slightly different? Because Cabbage is a big difference maker. It feels like just his presence. It's a 2-1 defeat. I'm a little disheartened, and I guess it's one of those things. I'm sure people will argue I've moved Siddiqui there from a position where he's looking quite good to a position where he's had no impact. But based on what he did, I wanted him in forward areas, finding passes and interacting with that front three. And sometimes it just doesn't work out right. And that's one of those days today. Look, let's not take away from what is a colossal day in Thames history. Just the one game today, because we've had the takeover, because we've discussed a few transfer bits and pieces. It's a shame that it's ended in that fashion, and hopefully we can pick up a little bit of form. After 21 games, we've got a +1 goal difference. The battle for the playoffs seems unlikely, but if you're here because you thought we'd get into the playoffs, you've not been here long enough, maybe. We will battle, of course, till the end of the season. We've had a lot of these seasons, so if we end up playing a lot of games in between now and the next episode, I hope you understand. And it's worth noting as well, tonight is the Streamer Showdown. It's a Wednesday. It's the Streamer Showdown draft tonight. It's an England nationality pool only. It's going to be very, very interesting, and a lot of people are saying it's the hardest draft we've ever done, and I kind of agree with that. The draft order is huge. Of course, the action will be at the weekend. If you want to come and watch it, twitch.tv/DoctorBenjy or twitch.tv/FM Streamer Showdown, where you can see all the action as it's covered tonight. Keep an eye on Twitter as well if you're not already on there, as there'll be links going out to everything that's going on this evening. If you enjoyed this episode, do leave a like on it. If you want to see some more, make sure you subscribe. We'll be back for more very soon. I'm going to play a lot of this now this afternoon and see how we do with the transfer window and so much more. Maybe we'll update at the end if anything big happens, but if not, it might be sort of Stevenage Chester. I don't want us to repeat seasons over and over again that you've already seen, but equally I want us to do well. We love with care. From until next time, I'll see you again. Goodbye. Takeover. I'll take the takeover.